This story is about Akuto, a righteous student who wants world peace, but to his surprise, he is fated to be the demon lord who is about to bring destruction to the world. To prove his innocence, he must defeat his enemies. While doing so, he somehow gets a harem of strong and unique sexy girls. The story begins with a mother leaving her son at the church gate during a thunderstorm. She prays he grows up strong because he is her only hope. The boy, named Akuto Sai, grows into a handsome young man. One morning, Akuto is at the bus stop heading to school. He notices an old woman's suitcase has fallen apart and offers to help. Her granddaughter, Hattori Junko, misunderstands and attacks him, thinking he means harm. After realizing her mistake, she apologizes and introduces herself as a student at a magic academy. They find out they go to the same school, with Akuto being a new transfer student, and they leave for school together. On the bus, Akuto shares his dream of becoming a high priest to promote virtue and justice. Junko supports his noble goal and explains her family's duty to protect the empire for generations. They pledge friendship, vowing to kill each other if they ever betray their shared principles.
このまま唾を濡らすのだ。我が宗派の対等の友情の契りを結ぶ儀式だ。
At school, Junko mentions she is in grade 1A. Meanwhile, a teacher named Tori Mitsuko, who is also a magical researcher, watches Akuto through her advanced glasses to identify new students. The new students line up, and an artificial spirit named Yata Garasu examines their physical condition and tells the future of the students.
もう一度お願い。
魔王だ。
Tori assures that Garasu never makes mistakes. When it's Akuto's turn, Garasu declares his future job as the Demon Lord. Everyone is shocked, and Akuto can't believe it. Despite asking multiple times, Garasu's answer remains the same. 100 years ago, a war caused chaos in the world, led by someone who called themselves the Demon Lord. Akuto struggles to accept that this is his destined future. After the exam, Tori takes Akuto for a walk around his school. She tells him he will face discrimination from other students, and some might even want to kill him. Tori jokes that if he dies, she'll bring him back as a zombie and study him as a born demon lord, which would be a historic achievement. When they reach class, Akuto discovers he's in the same class as Junko. The class is disturbed with fear. Akuto asks them not to judge him before knowing him, saying it's discrimination. He insists that a prediction is just a vision of the future, and he is working hard to change his destiny. His classmates remark that his speech is similar to the Demon Lord's speech from 100 years ago. Soon, Tori announces a class president election between Junko and Akuto, but Akuto doesn't want to be president. His classmates think this is also how the old Demon Lord acts. Junko confronts him about lying to her and playing with her feelings. They even make an oath as friends, which the class misunderstands. So Junko challenges Akuto with a duel.
屈辱か。貴様に決闘を申し込む。
決闘だって。
Junko starts her attacks and Akuto defends himself. Their powers clash uncontrollably, forcing Tori to create a protective arena. However, Akuto's power breaks through the barrier and destroys the class. Afterward, they return to their dorms. Later, a student named Miwa is excited to share a dorm with Akuto, praising him. Akuto asks Miwa to take him to the girls' dorm to meet Junko. When they arrive, Akuto knocks on Junko's window, causing all the girls to look at him from their windows.
あれが噂の純子と喧嘩してるみたい。
状況が悪化の一途。
しようとしたんだって。
Junko feels embarrassed and angry, chasing Akuto into the forest. In the forest, a woman named Soga thinks Akuto is his Prince Charming and declares he is her boyfriend. This angers Junko even more. Soga hugs Akuto to protect him from Junko's attack. Unintentionally, Akuto releases his power, causing a huge explosion in the forest and destroying Junko's robes once again. Not long after, an android woman named Korone appears from a portal assigned to be Akuto's supervisor. Korone heals Akuto, who was knocked unconscious, from the explosion earlier. Korone says she was sent by God Mat 3 minutes ago to watch over him. Korone plans to question Akuto about the incident and asks the principal to join him. Hearing this, Soga gets scared of being punished, turns invisible and runs away naked, leaving only her uniform behind. Korone recognizes Soga, who is a unique student absent on the first day of school. The next day, Akuto and Kurone meet with Tori and the principal. Kurone explains that Akuto didn't mean to hurt Junko. She can analyze emotions, so Akuto doesn't need to speak. She can represent him. Surprisingly, the headmaster laughs, happy to have a demon lord incarnate as his student. Kurone tells Akuto she will monitor him 24/7. In the school hallway, Tori meets Akuto and says they're protecting him because someone might want to kill him. Akuto admits he can't control his power. He intended a small attack, but it turned out strong. Before leaving, Tori gives the student manual, which can be used to communicate with others by telepathy. At Akuto's dorm, Kurone is still watching him, which bothers him. He tells Kurone to go to sleep, so she lays beside him half naked, which bothers Akuto even more. In the end, she sleeps in the cabinet.
何なんだこれは。
As Akuto heads to class, a woman named Ito Fujiko, the head of the female dormitory, blocks him. She still doubts he'll become a demon lord, but offers to help him if needed. Kurone stays close to Akuto in class, but other students think she's one of his victims. Even in the men's room, Kurone waits right outside the stall door, while in the toilet, Akuto secretly calls Fujiko, asking for her help to apologize to Junko.
何でしょう。
服部さんと仲直りしたいんですが。
She agrees, but only if he goes to the forest behind the school alone without Kurone. She tells Akuto how to deactivate Kurone by pulling her tail. On the way to the forest, Akuto keeps looking at Kurone's butt to find her tail. She notices and gets angry, calling him a pervert.
完全に変態ですね。
After a while, he finds her tail. Suddenly, Kurone detects a disturbance. A dog demon appears on a hill. As the dog roars, she tries to shoot it, but the bullets shatter in its teeth, having no effect.
駆逐します。
Akuto jumps at the dog, grabbing its fur and using his power. Instantly, the dog demon turns into a cute little dog.
できた。
Kurone says no magician has ever done that before. A voice comes from behind the bushes. It's Soga. Kurone notices Soga's bag near the bushes. As she bends down to pick it up, Akuto pulls her tail, temporarily deactivating her. Soon after, Fujiko appears and offers to help Akuto. She asks him to join the disciplinary committee, ensuring students follow school rules. She also gives him a magic medicine that creates a mutual understanding. The trick is to load the drug into a gun and shoot Junko and himself. After Fujiko leaves, Akuto pulls Kurone's tail again, bringing her back to consciousness. The dog from earlier starts chasing a floating emblem, and Akuto realizes that it is Soga. So he follows the dog and bumps into something out of nowhere. It is Soga who is now on top of Akuto and is fully naked. That night, Fujiko calls Junko, saying Akuto wants to meet her alone. Junko agrees and Fujiko smiles evilly, seeing an opportunity to profit effortlessly. Oni, an undead jar man, and Fujiko's brother warns her to be careful, but she plans to make Demon Lord her slave. Fujiko and her brother were close until his mysterious death. Since then, she has become ambitious and evil. Meanwhile, Miwa and Akuto take a warm bath together. Miwa mentions a group of ordinary students at their school involved in an underground movement studying black magic for evil purposes. Junko, with her strong sense of justice, haunts these people as the general chairman. After that, Fujiko calls Akuto, informing him that she has arranged his meeting with Junko for tomorrow after school in the old barracks on the 3rd floor. The next day, the school is in an uproar because the student council announces that Akuto has joined the disciplinary committee. They fear this will lead to the school's destruction. Fujiko smiles evilly with the chaos. After school, Akuto prepares the magic medicine to load into the gun Fujiko gave him while trying to deactivate Kurone. Suddenly, Soga knocks on his window, bringing rice crackers and a rice cooker, which she plans to leave for a while. Akuto feels uneasy as the meeting time with Junko approaches, but he hasn't deactivated Kurone just yet. He keeps trying to pull Kurone's tail and eventually succeeds, then quickly leaves for the meeting place. Now he's in a stuffy barracks room. As he looks for Junko, a male student suddenly hits him from behind. More male students surround him, mocking him for being a weak demon lord. Just as one of them is about to attack again, a force from Akuto's body slices the hand of that delinquent. Akuto gets up and defeats all the male students.
そうじゃないらしい。
Not long after, Junko arrives and sees the aftermath. She accuses Akuto of planning to take over the world by killing students, who Garasu predicts will have high-ranking jobs in the future. Akuto pulls out his gun, but it's empty when he tries to fire at Junko. Junko, realizing she can't win, escapes and declares that he will defeat Akuto for world peace. Fujiko watches through a magic crystal ball in her room. Oni asks about the magic medicine, and Fujiko explains that it makes people love and swear allegiance to her. After the incident, Tori calls Akuto to meet her. She tells him that Junko reported his alleged plan to take over the world. Meanwhile, outside the school, students gather to fight Akuto. Miwa offers to help, but Akuto refuses and chooses to run away instead of fighting. Junko and the other students trap Akuto on the school balcony. As they face off, Junko attacks Akuto with her sword. Suddenly, Soga appears and says she's known Akuto for a long time and that he is a good man.
私は知っています。ちょっといいところを見せたがるのが欠点だけど。
Soga reads minds, so she reveals that Junko likes Akuto, and every night Junko thinks about him. Embarrassed, Junko blushes. The other students become furious at the sight of Junko, and Akuto is thinking they're dating. As the students prepare to fight, Korone fires her gun, turning their attacks into grains of rice. The grains of rice somehow make the student unusually happy. In Akuto's room, Korone examines the rice and discovers that it has been drugged. Soga admits she dissolved the medicine in Akuto's room with water and mixed it with rice, knowing the drug helps people get along. Korone finishes her analysis and explains that it's a type of black magic that can make Akuto swear allegiance to someone. Because of the rice rain, Fujiko, who is originally the owner of the drugs, is swarmed by other students and can barely move. The next day, while practicing magic, Akuto pairs up with Junko. He is happy because she no longer avoids him. The training aims to teach proper mana control, as carelessness can injure a partner. Akuto promises never to hurt Junko, making her blush. He throws mana slowly at Junko, but it explodes violently in midair. Fortunately, no one is badly hurt. Afterward, Tori talks with Akuto by the river and suggests he practice in the mental self-discipline chamber to improve his control. She advises him to bring a water bottle and a waterproof bag. Meanwhile, Fujiko is planning something. It is also revealed that Oni used to be a school ruin researcher until he died from something he found. Korone accompanies Akuto to the mental discipline room, explaining that the door will lock for 12 hours once he enters. Inside, Akuto sees a package floating, which turns out to be Soga, who also enters the room. That night, Akuto is with Korone and Soga. Fujiko heads to the mental discipline room to use her illusion magic on him. As Akuto leans against the wall, it crumbles slightly, revealing a hidden map. It's not a school map, but one says treasure will appear once 3 keys are found, and those who are unworthy will face death. Soga is excited, believing pirates spent their lives collecting and hiding treasure at the school. As Akuto starts meditating, Soga keeps calling him because she needs to pee. Akuto realizes why Tori told him to bring a waterproof bag and gives it to Soga, but she refuses to pee in a bag.
あっち向いてるから。僕だって同じだ。いつか我慢できなくなる時はあるんだし。
Korone, on the other hand, mentions she wants to drink her urine as an experiment to convert it into internal energy. Outside the room, Fujiko prepares to shoot Akuto, but hears Soga banging on the door, wanting to go out and find a toilet. Fujiko confidently thinks Akuto will hug her when the door opens, but instead, she is pushed by Soga, who is desperate to pee. Fujiko is confused but spots the fallen map and takes it, then leaves. Meanwhile, Junko receives a secret message saying that a member of the Teruya family has started moving. Elsewhere, Fujiko shows the map to Oni, but he doesn't remember it because he erased all his memories before he died. Fujiko feels annoyed knowing the writing on the map is his. Later in the school hallway, a female student named Teruya Eiko mocks Fujiko for failing to make Akuto her underling. When Fujiko enters the lecture hall, she is shocked to see the map displayed on a large screen for all students to see. Map sheets are also pasted on every school wall. At first, Fujiko thinks Akuto is behind this, but then realizes it's Soga. Soga hums as she posts the map all over the school. Soga excitedly says she has provided information to the students for an adventure to search for pirate treasure in the school. Later, several students who were victims of the map arrive, saying they were attacked by a monster. After that, the female student council president, Lily Shiraishi, asks Akuto to announce the prohibition of treasure hunting to all students. He follows her orders, but the students oppose him. Shortly after, another student, Eiko, attacks Akuto as she suggests that he check the map's validity himself. He headlocks Akuto, but when Akuto tries to speak, Eiko starts moaning. As Akuto prepares to leave, Fujiko gives him a magic spell gun, explaining that even with his low mana, The gun will help in fights. She turns the gun into a small capsule for easy carrying. Akuto sets off with Eiko, Korone, and Miwa. During the trip, Korone examines the map, noting it is written for Yamato Boichiro. They follow the map's directions to his grave, discovering a place with many tombstones piled together, belonging to soldiers from the last Great War. Surprisingly, Korone finds some new bullets indicating recent activity in the site. Akuto instructs them to find a tombstone named Yamato Boichiro. While arguing with Eiko, Akuto suddenly pulls out the magic gun Fujiko gave him.
何のつもり兄貴
話は後だ
Eiko thinks he will shoot her, but he points the gun at her back, where a mysterious creature appears. The creature tells them to go home and forget everything or they will die. In the girls' dorm, Junko wakes Soga to ask where Akuto is. Soga says Akuto went with Eiko. Hearing this, Junko jumps out of her window to find him. In the forest, Eiko tries to attack the creature but ends up heavily wounded. Akuto then shoots the creature, turning it into a swarm of bats. Eiko, bothered by all the bats, clings onto Akuto, causing them to fall in front of Yamato Boichiro's grave. Akuto searches the grave and finds a walkie-talkie shaped like a small doll, which Fujiko and Oni had when they were children. As Fujiko is watching Akuto from her crystal ball, Soga appears naked again from nowhere. Soga convinces Fujiko to follow Akuto to learn more about the map. Akuto, Eiko, and the rest of the gang go to an old knight research facility. They were attacked by the knights, but they were able to defend themselves thanks to Akuto's power. After that, Eiko finds a smartphone directing them to a limestone cave entrance. The smartphone instructs them to scan their palm for registration. On the way to the cave, Korone uses a primitive tool to locate it, recalling a legend about an illusion of a hot spring bath in the cave. They find a cave and a hot pool where they all bathe and rest. Junko, who arrives at the hot spring earlier, notices Akuto and his companions and immediately attacks Eiko, leading to a naked fight. Meanwhile, Akuto notices a temple and is bitten by a wolf demon from behind it. But the demon falls to the ground by itself. Eiko stops fighting and decides to leave, throwing a key to Akuto. Fujiko and Soga arrive and ask what they found. Akuto gives them the key, the tablet, and the stuffed walkie-talkie. Suddenly, a light appears, forming a teleportation magic circle.
瞬間移動用の魔法円ですね1分以内に消えますが
They find themselves in a strange place where Lily appears, explaining it is a game prepared by the student council. The prize is a kiss from Lily to Akuto, which annoys Junko. Fujiko believes the map is genuine. She runs into the building ahead, throwing a smoke grenade. Lily is worried because the building is the former headquarters of the Demon Lord. Fujiko inserts the key into the device and scans her hand on the tablet, reactivating the system. Soon, a dragon monster that has been sleeping for hundreds of years awakens. The dragon shows an image from before Oni died, revealing a yellow-haired man who declared that the Demon Lord had been born. He wanted Oni to destroy a relic before the Demon Lord found the man. Oni refused and tried to erase his memory, so the man killed him. Seeing this, Fujiko bursts into tears. Soon after, a battle ensues between Akuto and the dragon. Although it's a tough fight, Akuto defeats the dragon. The dragon introduces itself as Peter Hausen, a name given by its former master, and allows Akuto to rename it since it needs a new master. It explains that Akuto doesn't need to do anything to become its master, just accept being called Demon Lord by the dragon. Fujiko flocks to Akuto, giving him a tight hug while Lily gives Akuto his reward, a kiss. After that, Peter Hausen invites Akuto to live in a temple, just like the old Demon Lord. A few days later, Akuto and his friends go on a beach vacation. The previous night, Akuto is sharing a room with Korone, who constantly teases him. The next morning, Korone wakes Akuto by teasing him again, making him uncomfortable. These mornings go for days, and even at school, Korone constantly teases Akuto. Fed up with Korone, Akuto uses a portal in the drawer to leave, ending up where the dragon is. There, Akuto sees Soga sleeping on the dragon's body. The dragon says Soga is the first human to touch it without fear. Going back to the beach vacation, Junko is very disappointed with Akuto as he is caught red-handed massaging Korone's watermelons. Then Korone grabbed Akuto's hands and placed them on Junko's watermelons instead. After clearing the situation, they all enjoy the vacation together. As the group goes home, Miwa recalls Garasu's prediction that his future job would be a hero or Yusa. He tells Akuto about the legend of the Demon Lord, saying that when the Demon Lord is reborn, a demon in the lake will appear and a hero will come to defeat the demon and Demon Lord. Meanwhile, Fujiko is at the dragon's place expressing her ambition to become the Empress of the Demon Lord. Peter Hausen remarks that Akuto is not ambitious for such a thing. Lily then arrives to inform Fujiko that the Cabinet Intelligence Magic Office, or the CIMO 8, and the Academy will protect Akuto from criminals who want to kill him and that they allow the dragon's existence. Lily explains that the higher-ups are encouraging Korone to seduce Akuto and try to start a war. After Lily leaves, Fujiko tries to contact Akuto, but its signal is weak. Meanwhile, Akuto searches for Korone, who suddenly runs away from him. Soga arrives to deliver a message from Fujiko, warning Akuto that a group of evil people called Simon 5 are chasing him and are skilled at killing witches. Suddenly, Korone reappears, but gets shot by someone else. Korone says goodbye and enters a portal. Soga reveals that if Korone's mission to seduce Akuto fails, she will be fired as a supervisor. Soon after, Miwa's sister, Yukiko, arrives and asks Akuto if he is the Demon Lord. When he denies it, she leaves crying. Soga and Miwa search for Yukiko around a lake where Miwa tells her about the legend of the lake.
その伝説がいかにいい加減なものなのか教えてあげますよ。
An echo suddenly sounds and Miwa explains that the lake is part of the sea and connected by an underwater cave which trapped air. In the cave, there is an altar with a small sword stuck in a large rock that only the hero can pull out. They hear a man's voice and find a man in white raising a lake demon to destroy the village.
ナマコだ。
The man discovers Yukiko and takes her away. Miwa tries to help using mana energy, but his attacks are ineffective as the man absorbs mana. Soga sneaks to attack but is caught naked again, which delights the perverted man. Miwa fights the man but is defeated and drowns in the lake. That night, the man in white reveals his name as Mr. X and faces Akuto. The man's robe produces a musical noise that weakens Akuto, reveals that the sound shakes the human soul, preventing the use of magic. Mr. X plans to blame Akuto for the village's destruction by the lake monster. Meanwhile, Miwa at the bottom of the lake wakes up remembering Yukiko and realizing he needs to become stronger. He goes to the sword altar and successfully pulls the sword.
俺はすでに勇者なんだ。
The sword transforms into a special anti-magic system unit called D13 with the activation command Brave. When Miwa says Brave, the system transfers a body unit to him. Meanwhile, Akuto understands that the noise comes from the man's soul scream. Akuto realizes that if his soul screams louder, he can move freely without problems. The man then throws fire mana at Akuto's group, but they survive thanks to Korone, who appears in an anti-flame cloak. She reveals that the man is a rebellious member of CIMO 8. She attacks him until he is defeated.
されません。
Akuto and his friends head to the village, now under attack by the lake demon. Upon arrival, they see a light which turns out to be Miwa, now transformed into Brave. Using advanced features like nuclear bombs and high-temperature plasma balls, Brave instantly annihilates the lake monster. Miwa soon joins Akuto, and Yukiko says they were saved by Brave. The next day, Korone informs Akuto that the ministry was unaware of CIMO 8's coup attempt. Out of nowhere, Korone then asks Akuto to marry Junko, making Junko blush while Akuto is confused. Akuto meets Soga in the park and chats for a while about their birthdays. After a while, Soga naps beside Akuto. Meanwhile, Fujiko uses magic to hasten the hatching of monster eggs she found in the cave. While doing so, she imagines all the nasty things she and Akuto could do if they were to rule as demon lords. As she waits and falls asleep, the invisible Soga takes the egg and brings it to Akuto to cook with Korone's rice. As they prepare to cook the egg, Miwa warns that it is a magic egg. At night, the egg grows to a giant size. When Akuto touches it, the egg hatches instantly, revealing a two-headed chicken. Korone prepares to attack, but Fujiko arrives, claiming she prepared the animal for Akuto.
様のお役に立てるよう発掘しましたの。
こんなもの何の役に立つって。
さあ、この私に貸し付きなさいませ。
Unexpectedly, the two-headed chicken attacks Fujiko and escapes as it bites Fujiko in the head. Korone fires at it, making it drop Fujiko, but it doubles its size again. Miwa transforms into Brave and searches for the chicken. In the city, a woman named Hoshino Yuri hosts a live program and is surprised by the two-headed chicken's appearance. Brave appears and defeats the chicken, earning a kiss from Yuri in gratitude. The next day, Junko calls her father to discuss marriage. Her father says that if Akuto marries Junko, he must become a follower of Suhara instead of Koro. Junko practices talking to Akuto about marriage. Kurone appears and it gives Junko a device to help her communicate with him about it. Not long after, Junko looks for Akuto, who is with his friends. She tells him her family wants to meet him for political reasons and asks him to take her home. Akuto has no idea that there has been a discussion about her marriage with her father. The story continues with the headmaster talking to Yamato Boichiro, the leader of magic intelligence in the central cabinet. Akuto recognizes him as a member of CMO 8. Boichiro criticizes Akuto for not being responsible for the school's security as the activity of magical beasts increases when exposed to the long waves of mana energy emitted by the Demon Lord. The next day, as Akuto prepares to take Junko home, Miwa and Kurone joined him. During the journey, Kurone mentions their marriage problems, making Junko blush. Unfortunately, Akuto misunderstands, thinking they are talking about magical beasts. He says he's not sure about it but feels responsible. Junko mistakenly thinks Akuto agrees with the wedding. Upon arriving at the village, Junko's younger sister, Hoshino Yuri, greets them. Miwa is surprised to learn Junko has a famous idol sister whom he had saved from the two-headed chicken attack. Yuri comments that Akuto's aura resembles a magical beast. She recalls becoming sensitive to mana after being bitten by a magical animal when she was little. At Junko's house, Akuto has a serious conversation with Junko's father, answering his questions firmly and impressing him with his apparent love for Junko. That night, Akuto is surprised by the extravagant party held for them, still unaware it's a celebration of their supposed engagement. Eventually, Junko realizes Akuto has misunderstood everything. Despite the misunderstanding, Junko prepares herself thoroughly and meets Akuto in his room, approaching him politely and removing her kimono. Akuto restrains her, telling her not to push herself for her family's sake. Junko asks if he has realized their marriage discussion, and Akuto is shocked. She apologizes for not explaining it earlier, and Akuto believes Junko doesn't want to marry and is being forced by her family. On the other hand, Junko, feeling anxious, cries because she tried so hard. After she leaves, a group of ninjas peek at them. Akuto runs into the forest, but the ninjas chase him. Eiko appears and traps the ninjas, stopping them from pursuing Akuto.
挨拶じゃないか。逃がしてあげようってんだよ。
君か。
She invites him to her house, but he refuses. She informs him that Soga is in danger because her father caught her. Knowing the Teruya family's evil intentions, Akuto gets angry. Soon, Yuri appears angry at Akuto for making Junko cry. At the same time, Kurone and Miwa arrive to meet Akuto, but he leaves immediately to save Soga and teleports to the academy. In the dormitory, Soga celebrates her birthday alone. Suddenly, Eiko's father sends a snake demon to wrap around her. Shortly after, Yamato Boichiro arrives and kills the demon, then attacks and kills Eiko's father. A portal appears, revealing Akuto, who has come to help Soga. Yamato Boichiro explains Soga's privileges and his plans to conquer God and control the universe using Soga. Akuto declares he will free her. At the same time, Fujiko arrives with several magical beasts she has conquered to help Akuto. The city is in chaos, filled with Fujiko's magical beasts. Yamato Boichiro draws a sword and attacks Akuto, seriously injuring his hand. The sword absorbs mana, preventing Akuto from healing himself. Fujiko and Soga take Akuto to escape while riding a monster.
でも逃げてどうするの？
逃げれば回復する時間ができますし。
Principal is waiting and protects Akuto from Yamato Boichiro's pursuit, instructing him to enter the academy. Yamato Boichiro invites the headmaster to join him in defeating Akuto, but the principal, aware of Boichiro's evil intentions to rule the world and control Soga, refuses. Meanwhile, Lily meets Akuto and informs him of the city's condition. Now filled with magical animals and troops from the ninja families, she advises him to meet his dragon so they can fight together against the enemies. At the base, Eiko watches the city's chaos on a broadcast screen. She is shocked by the arrival of her severely injured father, who tells her that Yamato Boichiro plans to destroy Suhara. Eiko then stabs her father and takes Suhara's leadership badge, feeling proud that the badge is now hers.
感謝するよ。あたいを須原神大師さんの自責にしておいてくれたこと。
After that, a man named 2V, a member of the CMO 8, visits Eiko. He reveals his power to control puppets and plans to ask the kingdom to send a plane to attack Akuto and his dragon. Meanwhile, Junko and her father watches the city's condition on a screen. Her father tells her that Eiko has taken the leadership badge because Keizo, Eiko's father, was killed by Akuto. He gives Junko an inherited sword named Sohaya. Her grandmother also supports this, understanding Junko's conflicted feelings about her mission to kill Akuto. Soon after, the ninja troops prepare under Eiko's command. As Yuri is a famous idol, the fight will be broadcasted on television for the residents to watch. Junko and Yuri receive a warm welcome from the ninja members and the residents watching on TV. Eiko, jealous of the Sohaya sword belonging to Junko, plots to have it for herself. She orders Junko and Yuri to launch the first attack without the ninjas' help, spreading the news that their attack is their own decision. As Junko and Yuri prepare to counterattack, Yuri encounters Brave, who promises to protect her.
魔獣殺しのブレイブがユリちゃんの援軍として駆けつけてくれました
When Akuto arrives at the cave, he announces to the dragon his intention to work together against the enemy. The dragon, thrilled, says this is the moment he has been waiting for and that nothing can stop them once they are in the sky. Akuto mounts the dragon and they fly towards the city. Seeing Akuto's arrival, Junko prepares to attack, but realizes she is not his target as he flies past her. However, following her father's orders, she approaches and attacks Akuto. Akuto pulls Junko onto the dragon, promising to take care of her after his mission. She blushes and feels confused about her emotions. Soon after, Brave injures Peter Hausen, but the dragon quickly heals. During the battle, the dragon tells Akuto he is ready to die but not to lose. Suddenly, the kingdom's pride, the Black Crane, arrives and repeatedly shoots at Akuto and the dragon.
2つの敵を相手にしなくちゃならないと。
Inside the plane's wheelhouse, the captain and co-pilot are surprised to discover their pilot is a puppet controlled by 2V. The plane tilts and crashes beside Akuto and his dragon. Meanwhile, Yamato Boichiro recalls his past and sees a black portal depicting the events from 100 years ago. He remembers his girlfriend, Rimu, leaving him for the Demon Lord. He becomes obsessed with Soga, who resembles Rimu except for her hair color. He traveled through time to find someone like Rimu.
幾度となく彼女と出会い、幾度となく絶望を味わってきたが。
Lily blocks the ninja army led by Eiko from heading to the school. She accuses Eiko of killing her father, having witnessed it herself. Eiko appears and falsely accuses Lily of being a Demon Lord henchman, spreading lies. Shortly after, the other student council members arrive with their magical creatures to help Lily defeat the ninja troops. Eiko then calls Junko and orders her to attack Akuto and Lily, threatening Yuri's safety. Junko reluctantly agrees to save Yuri. When Lily's army is surrounded by 2V's puppet troops, Fujiko appears and destroys the dolls with her purple grenades. At the same time, the Black Crane rises with Akuto's thunderous scream, making his friends happy that he is still alive.
ものが見られそうだし
Fujiko apologizes to Akuto for not being able to protect Soga, who was taken by Yamato Boichiro. Realizing Soga has been kidnapped, Akuto and the dragon set out to rescue her. Eiko keeps urging Junko to kill Akuto, but Junko recalls her grandmother's advice to use the sword according to her heart. She raises the sacred sword and declares her allegiance to the Demon Lord, using the power of love to emit a light that knocks Eiko's troops. With Eiko now alone, Junko prepares to kill her, but Korone stops her, insisting Eiko must live to atone for her mistakes.
罪を償ってもらわなければ
Eiko runs away but is confronted by her father, Keizo, who is still alive. The residents watching on television are astonished. Keizo declares he will not die before properly teaching Eiko a lesson. On their way to find Eiko, Peter Hausen tells Akuto the story of Demon Lord.
王というのは人間だが人間ではなく体内のマナに調整が加えられて誕生する
Explaining that the name originated due to the increase in mana in the body. Suddenly, Brave appears and attacks Akuto and his dragon. During their aerial battle, Brave's watch warns him that his strength will soon dissipate. Akuto immediately helps Brave, who turns out to be Miwa. After they land, Yuri realizes Brave is Miwa and hugs him. Meanwhile, Yamato Boichiro subdues the guards and carries Soga to the main system room, intending to control the universe. Once the portal opens, Soga is possessed by Rimu, who tells Yamato that he will fail no matter what he does.
そうしなければ人類はこの世界から消えてしまうのです。
Akuto arrives shortly after. He draws his dimensional sword which nullifies Akuto's mana healing if it strikes. Yamato splits Akuto apart only to be tricked as the real Akuto is behind him. With a flick of his finger, Akuto pushes Yamato away with his mana energy. The guards explain that the Demon Lord must unite with Soga as she is his reincarnation. However, Akuto and Soga refuse, aiming to disrupt the universe's governing network and kill Yamato. The main guard activates a security system, raising the universe governing tree into the sky.
防衛システムを発動して自動率もろとも消えてもらう
Akuto attacks the tree to break into the system, while Peter Hausen connects the wires to absorb the main system's energy, removing Akuto's mana limitations so he can use his full power. Despite succeeding in opening a suction portal, Akuto struggles as his mana is controlled by emotions.
マナは感情によってコントロールされる。主はまだ自分の力の解放を恐れているのだ。
He hesitates to release all his strength due to the potential for a massive explosion. Peter Hausen sacrifices himself, aligning the powerful mana energy and detonating it to save Akuto. The dragon gives one of its fangs as a memento. Shortly after, Soga becomes unconscious and meets Rimu, who reveals that Soga is her reincarnation.
私は私。もう一人のあなた。もう一人のそう。
Rimu explains Yamato's plan to control the universe and offers to help Soga rewrite Akuto's story so he can live a normal life. Then a huge explosion appears, marking the end of the commotion. Junko arrives by helicopter and smiles upon seeing Soga and Akuto safe. She decides to sever her ties with the Sohara family for Akuto's sake. Yuri tells Akuto that Junko loves him but is shy. Akuto and Junko finally unite, fulfilling his promise to take care of her once his business is over. Korone mentions that everyone's memories will be altered, except those involving Akuto, allowing them to live normal lives. In the end, Yata Garasu's examination is conducted again because Akuto wants to prove he is not a Demon Lord. However, Yata Garasu still declares him as Demon Lord, causing another uproar in the class.